are going to cover one more topic under organizational behavior, which is leadership and people skills. So I'll have the index in the description followed by the explanation link. You can directly go to the relevant topic. Let's get started. So the first topic is the leadership, people who influence others. As simple as that, no complex definition. Now the type of skills that we have for a leader's basic things is the assertive skills. So these are 4 skills. One of them is assertive skills. So first, assertive skills means influencing someone or convincing someone without being rude. Okay, making the opposite person to do something or getting a yes from that person without being rude. That is called assertive skills. Next is the communication skill. So this is not only the way you speak, but also the way you receive something from someone, the way you interpret it. So the terminologies that you use, the jargons that you use. Okay, so all this comes under the communication skills. Next is the motivation skills. So it is again depends, like you want, as a leader you want to take care of someone, but you cannot do that, so you'll have a number of people to do that. But again, when the things is going on continuously, you need to continually motivate them. Okay, so the words that you speak, the situation that you create, the scenario you choose, the demos, the example you take, the way that you speak even a small sentence, that all comes under motivation skills. Next is the adaptive skills. So everything around you, it might be the environment, the people that you deal with, the work that you are getting, everything will change. Okay, but the skills that you have should be like not a stagnant one. It should be compatible with all the scenarios, environments, peoples. Okay, different behaviors, different kind of moods. So you should be adaptive with everything. So that is adaptive skills. So these are some of the basic skills that a leader possesses. Now next is the significance of leadership. So apart from skills, skills he has, but what he should do with that skills. Okay, so that comes under the significance of skills. So here first the leader should have a clear vision. So he should be thinking in a long-term goals, and then what we can say, he should have those divided into small set of tasks, and then it should progress towards the goals. Next is the effective planning. So here we have Subway, which talks about 80:20, which says that 80% of your work will be done in 20% of timing, provided that planning is done. Okay, next, leaders should inspire and motivate. Okay, this as we studied under the motivation skill, the same applies. Next is the leaders should employ, it should like build the morale, or he should never let his employees or the people who are working under him. Here not only thing is the keeping the morale of the people working for any specific task to keep up, but also when there's a conflict between the members of the groups, then also how we make sure that neither of the person should have his morale down. And then again, as we have adaptive skills, so for that it should not be like manager is taking care of that. It should like he should develop the skills in between or in the people who is working under him. So there comes encouraging the new ideas, though it might work or not, but if it could, okay, if there's a possibility that it could result into a required solution, he should accept it, or he should nurture them, he should guide them, he or she. Okay, so that is like encouraging new ideas. Next we have employee organization relationship. So as we can see, for some of the leaders, they are task oriented, so they focus that you do anything, but finally the work should be completed. Okay, but if we have employee oriented organization, in that it's like you take care of your employees will take care of your customer. So that things apply here. Next we have leaders help in management crisis. So okay, so here it again deals with how you inspire them, because the original nature, okay, the original person comes out when environment or when an organization is going under crisis. At that time, how you manage yourself, how are you managing your mood swings. Okay, not only your mood swings, but how are you managing the people, how you are making sure that morale of your people who are working for you, how are you maintaining all those things. So that comes under management crisis. So those were some things which a leader should do with the skills that he or she possesses. Next we have managers versus leaders. So before starting this topic, let me tell you, here we are comparing managers versus leaders, but not managers who are having a leadership qualities. Okay, so that point is a bit twisting here, but yeah, if that statement is clear, let's get into the topic. So managers are more focused on power, okay, and leaders are more focused towards people who could maintain or who could have the relevant power and don't misuse of them. So that was a one-liner explanation, but yeah, let's get into the differences. Manager influences, but leaders inspire. Okay, next is managers create the circles of power, while leaders create circles of influence. Again, here it has nothing to do with the power that we talk in concept of Hitler. Okay, and again here when we are talking managers create circles of power, here we are not taking into consideration manager who is having a leadership skills. Okay, and not in the negative way but in a positive way. So here we are segregating managers versus leaders, though we have managers who influence as well. So it's not like managers leaders difference. Okay, it's like a static object manager, static object leader. Now segregate and have the differences. Okay, yeah, because even every leader can be a manager, so that is a different concept. Here we are talking about a simple different in static objects. Next we have the final point: manager works to achieve a given objective, while leader creates targets for future. Yeah, so final one, our theories are leadership theories. First theory is a trait theory. Now in this theory we believe that leaders are born. Okay, so it should be like innate in our blood. Only those there are some qualities which comes only by birth. So if it is there in your DNA, you are a leader, otherwise you are not. Okay, so that states the leadership characteristics are innate, and so many people are born leaders. So this was not accepted now for sure, but yeah, this was accepted very previously. Okay, when like we can say the time of BC or such thing. Next is our behavior theories. So here we have two. One is production oriented, one is employee oriented. Production oriented, again when we can say that it is a synonym of task oriented. So these leaders are task focused. Okay, finally I want my task to be done, that's it. So having that into consideration, they take decision, they force or they talk or they manage the work. Next is the employee oriented. So this is a one liner says that take care of your employees, they will take care of your work. So here to keep the employee involved in every thing, so that there is a sense of belongingness, there is a sense of ownership towards the work. We have employees involved in the decision making, because then they are like, okay, we have decided this could be the impact. They are aware of everything because they have to take decisions, so they will be getting aware of everything, which could simplify the work and which could also bring the ownership to the work. So these leaders support their employees in getting the task done, focuses on employee needs. So it means the leader will take care of the employee needs, and the employee will make sure that he gets the task done. Now again, there is no pressure done made on anyone, but it is like something taken voluntarily. Next is the contingency theories. So contingency theory states that the leadership effectiveness is a function of two variables. One is the task interpersonal relationships. So here we take a scale called least preferred co-worker scales, which is like a simple table, as you can see a diagram. If you give to any person and he'll mark, okay, we'll take an example, how pleasant and unpleasant, we'll mark this. Okay, and here if you can see the positive qualities are here on having the higher score. So when the marking is done, finally the more high score, the more is the effectiveness of the leader. Okay, so that was LPC scale, first factor, first variable in the function of finding the leadership effectiveness. And second is the situation. Now again in the situation we have this task oriented, relationship oriented. This is again similar to what we have studied, the employee oriented and production oriented. So the two functions are, one is the LPC scale, second is the situation. And again, because we cannot expect task oriented in leaders in every situation, again we cannot expect a relationship oriented leader in every situation. So it depends on okay, he's a task oriented leader and this is a situation, so this combination is the required thing. So that's how they see, okay, this is effective leadership. Because if a relationship oriented leader is used with the very urgent point at that time. Relationship is very good but the task is not done, so what is the use of that leadership? So that's how we take into consideration that second variable, which is situation, to find the effectiveness of the leadership. Next is the leadership pitfalls in leaderships. So here we can see the first is the personal pitfalls. So in this we can say, okay, the person that may come across many disagreement with the people who he is working with. Okay, so those kind of conflicts may become an obstacle for a leader. So those are the those we consider as a personal pitfalls. So coming to the next, that is criticism pitfall. So it's the self-explanatory thing. People who are not happy with the leader or his work or his initiatives, or the thing that he promised that he will do, or something which he started and didn't complete. So those kind of things, if people are facing and if they are not happy with the leadership, then they'll try to criticize the person. So again, leader should have the skills to either take that upon him, or either to correct the solution, or either to correct the people by providing the proper justification. Okay, now third is our dictatorship. So when the leader is trying to take a decision by his own, okay, so here he is avoiding taking the inputs from the people. That is a collaborative manner. So if he is avoiding that and is taking his own decision, then we call it as a dictatorship. Next is the role confusion. So here we can say that leader is playing a multiple role at the same time. Okay, let's take an example where okay, so let's take an example of a manager. So he is representing his team to the management, and he is representing management to the team. Now to which side he should favor, okay, and to which side he should take, to which side he should openly say, okay, this is how it is happening. So there will be a lot of confusion while making a statement, while taking a side, while taking a stand. So this thing we call as a role confusion. Next is the organization pitfalls. So suppose organization's intention, its aim is one kind of thing. For suppose the organization intention is to help people, but they hired some managers whose intention is different. Okay, so they will take the organization in a completely new direction. So it's recommended that the complete policies, the complete aim, their regulations, rules and regulations completely should be written in such a way that any layman or any new person or any experienced person could be able to understand it very easily. So that is something we call it as organization pitfalls. Next is the environmental pitfall. So here again we take an example of organization only. So we can see the organization, the niche of the market in which the organization is playing a role as a competitor, as a major killing organization. Okay, so it's like a monopoly market. So whatever it might be, the change is not what we can say a long-term change. It will change for sure. So there will be too many environmental changes. It might be the crisis, or it might be the good amount of profit, it might be the increasing in the competitors, it might be anything. Okay, so for everything, if the leader has the adaptive skills, he will take care. But again, there will be like he has to maintain his competitors because he don't want to have a bad relation with them. So here relationship, maintain morale, okay, then influencing the people, and too many other skills that he has, he need to play them all. But keeping in mind, while doing all these things, he should not bring the change in his behavior, because people who are following the leader, they are following because of the leadership. But if he brings any kind of change in them because of the environmental change, that leadership will affect, and that will affect again the people's behavior, okay, who are working for him, or like as a competitor or anything. Okay, it will affect the leadership. So that was our final pitfall in the leadership, that is environmental pitfalls. Now coming to the emotional intelligence. So individuals' ability to identify, understand, manage emotions, other things. Okay, so here we have 4 points. So first is the self-awareness. So here the point states that a person should be aware of his strengths, weakness, everything. Then only he should take any decision, or that decision should be in such a way that it should not affect his leadershipness, because he's already know, okay, this is my strength. If this is the situation, something that comes up, I should be prepared to face this as the worst cases. So that's how self-awareness helps in taking the decision. So here we have something called SWOT analysis. So SWOT analysis is an abbreviation which states the S for strengths, weakness, opportunities and threats. So this helps in identifying the four attributes that is SWOT analysis. So it is spelled wrongly here as SWOT, it is actually SWOT. Okay, I'll correct that and provide the link in the description. Next is our self-management. So it again comes to the point that think twice before you say. Anyhow, we have the change in the statement in today's world, that is Google twice before you share or say anything. But it finally says that you are responsible for what you have done so far. Okay, so that is what self-management says, and it's like you should not be a short temper. You should try to understand the situation completely and don't have frequent mood swings. Okay, so that was self-management, managing yourself. That's it. Next is the social awareness. So here this point emphasizes on stating the importance to understand the emotions, needs and the priorities of an individuals. Okay, and that is like identify your social things. It might be the people, it might be any living or non-living, but have more the awareness, the more information that you have, the more proper decision you will take. And then we have something called relationship management. So this is like not only your team with whom you are working, but with everyone. You should be able to have a good rapport, you should maintain your respect and you should earn their respect, and it's all about maintaining relationship. That's it. So all this four comes under the emotional intelligence that a leader should be following or should take care. Okay, next we have styles of leadership. So totally we have 11 styles of leaderships. We'll go one by one. Okay, first is the autocratic leadership. So here we can say that this person keeps his objective above all, so he will not consider the inputs from the other. So that is what autocratic leader means. He'll say and that will become a law, no other inputs from anyone. Next is bureaucratic leadership. So this is strict, but here we have collaboration. Okay, so once we do the collaboration and come to a decision and the law is formed, for sure in any case, in any situation, we have to follow the rules and regulations. So that is what bureaucratic leadership means. Then we have democratic leadership. Here again it is similar to that of bureaucratic, but here not only the people who are elected or the person who is given the authority, but here people are also involved in taking the decision. So it's like tell the people what you are doing, get the inputs and finally come to a conclusion, and then you form a law. Okay, next is the servant leadership. So this leadership is completely about serving the people, like we have an example of Mother Teresa. Okay, so then we have charismatic leadership. So here it is emphasized on how good influence you are. Okay, how you make sure the people who came to you for a specific analysis or a specific requirement, how much are you satisfying that. Okay, so here we have an example of Barack Obama, but in India we can say Sandeep Maheshwari, and like that we have a number of other people who are not authoritatively leader, but they have that charisma to influence and provide the proper what we can say, the people came with some requirement and you are providing them with the proper solution. So that is what charismatic leadership means. Here you basically influence others. Okay, next is the situation leadership. So this says you learn whatever you can, and then you possess whatever skills you are, but the things will not remain constant, stagnant throughout the situation. The situation will change, so your leadership, the way of your leadership should also change. So that is what situation leadership says. Next we have transitional leadership. So transitional leadership means a focus more on the materialistic thing. So if you do this, you will be awarded. If you don't, you will be punished to make the task completed. So that was complete about materialistic. Okay, next we have laissez-faire leadership. So it says that don't intervene in someone else's task, let the task be pending. Okay, that pressure, or that is just an example. Pressure will include and a person will more inclined towards completing that activity. So that was just an example, but overall this says that you don't intervene in the person's task, he will take care of that because he or she has a responsibility of a specific task. So don't push him, because once you push him, then you always have to push him. So just leave him him or her as it is. Responsibilities is there on his neck. He will take care of that. He or she will take care of that. Next we have resonant leadership. As previously we have studied the 4 points under emotional intelligence. Those skills will be used by the resonant leadership to have the task done, to create the decision. Okay, so he'll have a completely different perception for the people, and people will have a different perception for him. So that is our resonant leadership. Okay, so here we have taken an example of Morita from Sonicor. And then we have authentic leadership. So previously we have studied self-authentic. So self-authentic means you are what you are, and you are what yourself is not, like you know what you are. So similarly here we say that you know what you are, correct it and make that same figure to be applied in the public. So here the leadership is more about how honest you are, how hardworking you are, how faithful you are, how much we can trust you with anything. So that comes under authentic leadership. Now the final form of leadership is informational leadership. So in this, it's not about how much facts or figures you are, that is a factor of this leadership, but the thing more emphasizes on how energetic, enthusiastic and passionate, and how much you involve your employees, not employees, anyone. Yeah, so that is what informational leadership is all about. So with respect to this leadership and people, if you have any queries, please write down in the comment section. So yeah, that's it for now. Thank you.